everyone, I'm back again with the 20-ounce Tangram Tumbler. So I put my 2 layers of epoxy on here so it's smooth, and then now I'm going to be doing the striping. So I may be doing some time lapse of me doing like all the little ones, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So for the striping, there's 2 ways you can do it. I am using nail striping tape. You can buy it on Amazon. I got like a 30 pack of them for, I want to say $15. This is very, very thin. And so I did like 2 lines here. So you're going to want to try to get as close as you can to lining it up with where they separate. And then the second way of doing it, you can either go into either Cricut Design Space or whatever program you're using and make a bunch of lines. And they don't have to be this thin. You can make them thicker. I would say probably 0.19 to 0.25 would probably be a good line. So you can do that, cut it all out, and then you can just peel your strips off. I'm just using nail tape today. I had the chrome silver, which I think looks pretty good with it. It's kind of hard to see, but I just want a little bit of that accent in there, just enough to clean up my lines a little bit. So what I do is find the end. Sometimes it's hard to find. Or it doesn't want to peel up. There we go. And then I do a strip about as long as my tumbler. A little bit longer, just so you can move it around if you need to still. And then I line it up with my top edge here. I press down with my finger. And striping tape, you can touch it and it's not going to lose a bunch of adhesion. So what I do is I take my striping tape and I line it up where I want it. Press it down. Go all the way down to the end. Alright, and then I'm going to just cut it. And like I said, if there's overhang on the bottom, that's okay. Because if you want to be able to move these stripes, you can always do that. And at the end, we can go through and cut them where we need them to be. And I'm going to use this nail striping tape for the small lines also. That one's just going to take a lot longer to show you how to do. It's the same as doing this line. You're just going to have a lot shorter strips of tape. So I'm just gonna go all the way around the cup. So I am new at video making and YouTube and all of that fun stuff. So bear with me. I'm using my iPhone. I did purchase a Nikon camera, but I think it's just too dark in my workspace to get a good quality video. So I just use my phone. It's been working the best so far. And I may not post very often or upload videos very often. I work a full-time job at General Motors, so I do tumblers on the weekends in my free time. So that's why I don't have a whole lot of videos. I'm working on it. I'm hopefully trying to get more tutorials out there. A lot of the times I just forget to even videotape, because I'm either in a hurry or I have so many different ones I'm working on. It's hard to tape what I'm doing, because I'm not always doing just one cup at one certain time. Sometimes I work on a little bit of it, go work on another cup, come back to it. All right, there's that one. And you can do these lines however you want. You don't have to go in and do all these little diagonals if you don't want to. you don't have to stripe it at all. You can just leave it how it is. Just personal preference. And you can use all different colors too. I just picked silver. I liked how it wasn't the same colors as what I already had on the tumbler. You can do holographics, chrome, a solid color, whatever you want to do. So this is the easy part. This is just the long stripes going down. All these little ones, it'll probably take me a good 2 hours. I want to say, I'm hoping only 2 hours. That's a lot of little lines to cut and lay. With this striping, nail striping tape, you don't want to pull on it super hard. It's very, very thin, and it will like stretch, and it will also stick to itself. So you don't want to pull very hard on it and have it breaking on you, but you can pull it up and redo it multiple times. It's not really like vinyl in a way where if you get anything underneath it, it won't stick anymore. This, I pull up, readjust, and it's perfectly fine. I used this on another tumbler. I can't remember which one. I don't know if I have it out here. But I do have a cup I'll show you. I did with the cutting vinyl out on my Cricut instead of using the nail striping tape. I have that one sitting right over here. I'll show you how I did that one. That one has a little bit thicker lines. I wanted the thicker detailing on it. But it's this leopard print cup right here I did. I did all of this in brushed metal vinyl. So I cut all those out of my Cricut. These ones are wider than these right here. These ones I think were the 1/8 of an inch strips. And these were, I think, the 0.25 inch strips. So if you want them smaller, you can always make them smaller. But I cut all those out on my Cricut. So now we have 2 left to do on this, and then all the little ones. And I want to thank you guys for the support. You can also find me on Facebook. It is KM Custom Crafts. Or if you want to use my little tag thing, so you can just type that in, I'll take you right to my page. It is at KM Craft and Vinyl, all spelt out. And I do post giveaways on there. You can check those out. I do some other videos and tutorials. Sales, if I have sales on any of my products, I post it on there. Just good information if you're interested in checking it out. Alright, so all the vertical stripes are on here. So now we're going to move on to doing the ones that go diagonal. So these are very, very small. And it may be easier to cut this with an X-Acto knife, but it is completely up to however you want to do it. I am going to use my X-Acto knife. I'm just going to take it and cut right along that line we already had there. So as I said earlier, this is going to be a very, very long process. So I'm either going to speed it up, or I will just come back when I have all of these lines on here, and I will show you guys what I do before I epoxy these. Because this nail striping tape, it's not like vinyl, so it comes up really easily. So before I go and put epoxy on this and I'm rubbing on the cup, I go and seal with Quick Coat, which is from CC DIY. It's about $30 for a bottle like this, but I've had this for months and I use it on almost every cup, and it lasts. It is definitely worth the $30. All of my epoxy, I use DIY epoxy. It's the artisan resin. And I will post links in the description on where I get my nail striping tape and my epoxy and glitter and anything else you might be interested in. I've been doing this for about a year. I've accumulated a lot of tumbler supplies. I can tell you most of the good websites where you want to go, discounts. A lot of them have really good sales all the time. And I'm all for saving money. This one's being stubborn. There we go. All right, so there we go. It's a little bit off. I'm not too worried about it because there's so many of them to do. You're not gonna notice it. So I got all the striping done. I'm gonna come back after I get every little piece here done, and then I'm gonna show you how I seal it and then put epoxy on it. So this is the 20-ounce Tangram. Alright, so partway through doing the stripes, I was trying to see if there's an easier way. So what I was doing is I would start at the top and I would go down and follow the diagonals. So when you do that, you're going to have this section that goes across where it doesn't line up the right way. So what I've been doing with those is I cut on both sides of it, and then I'm peeling it up, and then I'm laying it on a section that doesn't have a line yet. So like right here doesn't have a line yet. Now this is the part, it's kind of frustrating because your tape wants to curl back up and it's kind of hard to stick because it's so short. But I get it where I want it, and then I've been piecing them back in the spots that didn't get a stripe yet. Like I said, it's very frustrating because they're so small, they're hard to grip. And it's kind of hard to line up. So that's what I've been doing with those extra pieces that are going across that don't line up the right way. Is by just cutting them, lifting them up, and peeling them off. And another thing I did is I went both directions. So there's spots where the tape is laying over the section I need to remove. So if it peels up, I just lift it up and peel it back down. So this has been a very long process. I've been doing it for about an hour. I did a time lapse. So if you don't have a whole lot of patience and you get frustrated easily, I would definitely recommend doing the vinyl method I was telling you about. Might be a little bit easier because everything's already cut out. So you just need to place it. But that's what I've been doing. And sometimes these are a little too long from where you cut them. So you gotta cut the little piece again and line it back up. So we're getting there though. I got a double line right here because I had already taped it and then I went back over it. So I'm gonna take that one off. And sometimes you can push this into place, like kind of slide it. Other times you might just have to pull it up and reposition. It's like now it's really wavy. And this is my first time doing one of these. So if there is an easier way, if you have already done one of these tumblers or something similar to it, please leave a comment or let me know how you did it, because I would love to learn an easier way to do these. This one isn't in order for anybody, so I'm not in a huge rush to get it done. It may be one of those cups I set aside for a couple weeks and then start back at it. It's very time consuming and I do have orders I need to work on. So I rather get those done first rather than doing an order, or rather than doing a cup that's not in order. So I just thought I'd show you how I started doing it differently partway through. I don't know if it's easier or not. I thought it kind of was because I could get more stripes done and I just had to cut out the little sections. So it's totally up to you. If you find an easier way, let me know. You can always play around with these. Find whatever works best for you. I've learned a lot in the last year making tumblers. My very first tumblers, they didn't look pretty. It takes some time to learn on how to apply certain decals, how to do certain patterns. Like this one, if you're just starting out, it's a very hard one to learn on because you have to do a template and take your Mod Podge and do certain sections at a time. So if you're first starting out, I recommend doing alcohol inks or micas or something that's, you know, not so much of intricate work. But if you love a challenge, I mean, go for it. My first tumbler was just a glitter ombre with my logo on it. And I can definitely tell you my ombres have improved 100-fold. Because the first one you could totally see how thin the glitter was. I only did one coat and I didn't paint the right colors underneath. My glitter shifted because I didn't seal it. But once you get into it and you start learning easier ways of doing stuff, better ways of doing stuff, it's a fun little hobby. An expensive one, but a fun one. I actually converted my workshop in my garage into my craft room because I ran out of room upstairs in my other section I was working in the first place. So I'm gonna go back and start finishing this up. and then I'll come back and show you how I seal it. Alright, I got all the stripes on, and now what I'm gonna do is go and cut all these little layers where we overlapped or at the bottom. And I'm just pushing down a little bit because this nail striping tape is so thin that your X-Acto knife will cut right through it just by pressing down. So you're not really cutting into your epoxy. So I cut them and I peel off the strip. And if there's a few of them that are overlying, you might have to cut a few more before you can pull one of them off. So I'm just trying to get them pretty straight at the bottom. Kind of like where my glitters change over to the white, because I did the bottom a solid white. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife, cut it, pull it back a little bit so I can peel them off. I do have one stripe right here that doesn't want to stick anymore, so I'm just gonna redo that one. There we go. Sorry if it gets loud in here. We have a furnace out here in our garage and it kicks on. And I'm in Michigan, so it's freezing outside right now. I know sometimes it gets kind of loud. If you guys want to see me do any other kind of tumblers, if you want to see how I do them, you want to give it a go for yourself, let me know and I will get a cup set up and ready to go, and I will show you how I do a certain design. I've done most of them, so if you're new to making tumblers and you want to see how a few of them are made, I myself am not perfect. I just started a year ago, but I can give you some good tips and tricks on things I've learned, what to do, what not to do. I'm always open for suggestions on what you guys want to see. When I don't have orders, I just work on random stuff, or I will start a cup that I haven't done before. Like this one was a first for me. I've never done a tangram. So I figured I would tape it. I'm a beginner on this one, so if you're a beginner and you want to learn how I do them, you can join along with me and we'll learn together. Because it's not something you can just walk into and be like, oh, okay, I got it. This one, it takes a little bit of time. Alright, so I got everything cut even. Right now I'm just making sure all my lines are pressed down. When I was cutting and rearranging and stuff, some of them are kind of peeling up on the edges, but we are going to seal this before epoxy. So I do have one little bump here in my epoxy from my glitter. So I'm just going to kind of trim that back, so when I do my next layer it's not really bad. Okay. Alright, so there's that. So what I do is I'm going to go seal this with clear spray paint just to give that tape a little something to stick to before I use the quick coat, because I don't want the brushes pulling on these. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be too bad. I think I'll just go quick coat. we'll just use Quick Coat, and I'll show you guys how I do that. So I grab my little bottle of Quick Coat. I'm gonna grab a little cup to put it in. I just use little medicine cups. I mix my epoxy and everything else with them. Give it a little shake. Sometimes the lid gets stuck because it's like a polyurethane coating. I'm not going to use very much because this doesn't have glitter that is exposed, so it's not going to soak up any of this. So let me find a brush. My brushes are a little stiff. They got cleaned and dried. I haven't used them yet. Okay, so I'm gonna grab an arm for this so I'm not touching it after I put the Quick Coat on there. So we'll just put a tumbler arm in. And then all I'm doing is I'm just going straight down it, just enough to give this a little bit to stick to. And we're just gonna do nice even strokes. You don't want it to be thicker in spots. You just want a good coating on there. From the top all the way to the bottom. And Quick Coat dries completely in about 15 minutes. So once you get it on here, don't mess with it with a paintbrush or anything until it dries, or you're gonna get like spots where it gums up and it's not gonna lay flat. So when you go to epoxy, it'll have bumps in it. We don't want that. Make sure you get the top. Where all your ends meet. Go around it, make sure I got good coverage. And then I'm gonna do just the bottoms here. Oops, got a stray. Alright, so I'm going to put this on my turner and let it dry. And then I'm going to put a coat of epoxy on it. I don't think I'm going to put a decal on this just because it's so busy already. I'm not sure if I want one on there. Because this might be a ready to go cup that someone can just personalize, put a name on, whatever they want to do. So I'm going to let this dry, put a coat of epoxy, and it should be finished. And I will do another video, a separate video, probably not with this tumbler. I will show you how I clean my edges, because I don't know if you can see very well. There's a lot of spray paint and glitter in there. So before I send any of my cups out, I clean them really good. So I'll do a video on how I clean my cups, just so you have a good idea of how to do it. But thank you for watching. That was my Tangram tutorial. And like I said, if you guys have anything you want to see made, or you want some helps and hints, just leave something in the comments.